In this video, we're going to look at some quick worked examples of rearranging basic equations. Let's start off with an example from physics. V is equal to U plus AT. This gives us V is equal to U plus A multiplied by T. If you've done any physics before, you'll recognise this as final velocity is equal to initial velocity plus acceleration multiplied by time. At the moment, V is the subject to the equation. We might want to make U the subject, A the subject, or T the subject. All we do is treat this in a very similar way to an equation. We use inverse operations and we follow the order of operations. So let's look at making U the subject of the equation. So what I want is U is equal to something. So what I've currently got is V is equal to U plus AT. So we'd write this out, V is equal to U plus AT. So I can see if I add AT to U, I get V. Therefore, I'm going to subtract AT from both sides. So we're going to have V minus AT is equal to U. All I've done is subtracted AT from both sides and made U the subject of the equation. In the same way, if we had 3 is equal to x plus 1, to solve for x or make x the subject, we would simply subtract the 1 from both sides. So we'd have 3 minus 1 is equal to x. Clearly this would give us 2, but as we're working now with the letters, we leave them as they are. So all I've done is use the inverse operation. Let's say we wanted to make A the subject. This is slightly trickier. So what we have is V is equal to U plus AT. If I think about A started off, it was multiplied by T, then we added U and we got V. Therefore, we need to undo this. So I'm going to subtract U from both sides of the equation. That gives me V minus U is going to be equal to AT. AT means A multiplied by T. I need to do the inverse, and that is dividing both sides by T. So V minus U divided by T will be equal to A. I now have A as the subject of the equation. If we wanted T, we would use a very similar approach. V is equal to U plus AT. Using the order of operations, I would subtract U from both sides. V minus U is equal to AT. This time, instead of dividing by T, I'm going to divide by A, and V minus U over A will be equal to T. T is now the subject of the equation. So all we've done is use inverse operations and followed the order of operations. Let's look at another example. Let's say we had now y is equal to x plus 1 divided by 3, and we wanted to make x the subject of the equation. So currently y is the subject. X started its life off, had 1 added to it and was divided by 3. So we need to now use inverse operations. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply both sides by 3. That's going to give me 3y is equal to x plus 1. All I need to do to make x the subject is subtract 1. So we've got 3y minus 1 is equal to x. And we've made x the subject of the equation. If we had now p is equal to 3q minus 4 divided by 2, and we wanted to make q the subject of the equation, we would multiply both sides by 2. That would give me 2p is equal to 3q minus 4. I would now add 4 to both sides, so 2p plus 4 is equal to 3q. And finally, I would divide both sides by 3. So 2p plus 4 divided by 3 will be equal to q, and q is now the subject of the equation. So all we're doing is using inverse operations and the order of operations to now express, in this case, x in terms of y, q in terms of p, and in this case, u in terms of the other two, a in terms of the other two, and t in terms of the other two variables.